So let's talk about this FISA memo. We never got a chance after its release, what it tells us, what it doesn't tell us. So many people hyping it on the right, but also there's people running it down on the left. The press running it down on the left, which is unbelievable. What's in it? It says the FBI and the Justice Department, if the memo is true, they used this Steele dossier, this Oppo research that was paid for by the DNC and Hillary Clinton, and this talking point again that it was originally paid for by the Free Beacon is not true. The Free Beacon hired Fusion GPS, but they had nothing to do with the Steele dossier, which only came in after the Democrats hired these people. So they used this to get a FISA warrant to spy on an American citizen, Carter Page. Now, Carter Page is a Russian sympathizer. He got into trouble with the feds before because he was hanging out in Russia with a guy who later became a spy. He was investigated. He was never charged with anything. And so we don't know whether he's a dirty guy or not. But they were spying on him. And he had just left about a month before. He had just left his volunteer role in the Trump campaign. Okay, so they wanted to spy on this guy, and he'd recently left the Trump campaign, and they did not tell the FISA court, according to the memo, they did not tell the FISA court that this dossier was paid for by the DNC, and they didn't tell him that it was, using the words of James Comey, salacious and unverified. And this is a violation. It's a violation, according to Cheryl Atkinson, the investigative reporter, it's a violation of the FBI's own procedures. The FBI has something called the Woods procedures, which are strict rules requiring that each and every fact presented in an FBI request to electronically spy on a U.S. citizen be extreme vetted for accuracy and presented to the court only if verified. And for obvious reasons, right? The FISA courts don't turn down that many applications for warrants. So we have to trust our government. We have to trust our government to only ask to spy on Americans when they might be dangerous agents of a foreign government. That's the only time. The thing is, now this memo doesn't necessarily taint Robert Mueller's investigation into the Russian collusion idea, although why there's a special counsel doing investigation into something that's not a crime, I don't know. But it doesn't necessarily taint that. In the memo, it does say that this guy Papadopoulos was the thing that jump-started the memo. He was in Australia. He got drunk. He told some people that the Russians had emails damaging to the Hillary Clinton campaign. That, of course, turned out to be partially true because Podesta had given them, they fished him for his password, so they'd gotten in. And that's what's jump-started the campaign. But, now, this is not in the memo, but it's very hard to believe that they went after Carter Page as their main target here. The guy is a nobody. He's not some big guy that they were going to have some big investigation of. It really does seem, it's a fair conjecture, let's put it this way, that they went after Carter Page to tap into the Trump campaign. If that turns out to be true, and we don't know that yet, if that turns out to be true, then the scandal meter goes into the red zone. So that's what we have, right? In any world, every journalist would be on top of this, right? Every one of them would be salivating. Let's get the more information. Let's find out where this goes. How far did this go? Did the Democrats use the federal government? Oh my goodness, they would be saying in this make-believe world. Did the Democrats use the federal government to bug a Republican presidential campaign? That would almost be like colluding with the Russians. It'd be worse than colluding with the Russians. That would truly be a scandal. So every red-blooded reporter is out there trying to get let's just have a montage. We have a montage here that comes from Grabian of the press. I mean, these are just Democrat talking points coming out of the faces of the press about after this memo is released. This is cut 5.
I could tell you from reading this memo and consulting with a wide range of experts, it's a dud. This memo is a dud. Nothing. A dud. But it is nothing. A nothing burger.
And less interesting about this memo is what is in it. It's pretty much a nothing burger.
A nothing burger.
Quote, dishonest, misleading, partisan nothing burger.
The only thing I fear from this memo, because I think it's really been a huge dud.
Some of the GOP Tea Party members were out there saying that this is the most vile thing they'd ever seen. And it's a big dud. It's a dud.
Unfortunately, it fell flat yesterday, much, I think, to the chagrin of the president. This memo was a complete dud.
They talk about collusion. It's the Democrat Party colluding with the press. Here's one I just love. I mean, what I wonder when I watch this is, do they hear themselves? Do they think we don't hear them? Do they think we're stupid? Yes, they do. They must think we're stupid. Here's George Snuffleupagus, the Clinton hack, I love you, Hillary Clinton hack, running this panel. Listen to the logic of this panel, that basically by releasing this memo, by giving the people information, we're all now working for Putin. Listen to this.
When you think about the investment that Vladimir Putin made in interfering in our elections, it is paying off every day in spades.
He won the Super Bowl. Putin has won the Super Bowl here. Exactly what he wanted to happen in this country. This discord, this mistrust of institutions is exactly why they operate this way.
So for a year, they do nothing but report on this story and they know the people don't care. The people don't care. The people are, at home going, hey, there's more money in my paycheck. Hey, I have a job. Hey, this is kind of good. Things are going well. They know the people don't care. They poll them. Nobody is talking about this Russia investigation. These guys do it. They serve Vladimir Putin every day by doing this. And then when somebody says, oh, and by the way, the collusion was between the Democrats and the Russians. It's like, you're working for Putin. And they think, but what I love about them is I always compare them to the last scene in Singing in the Rain, the old musical, where the woman is singing she's a nasty woman and she's actually dubbing the woman who's singing behind the curtain, and they open the curtain so the audience can see that this woman is a total fake. The press, this has happened to the press. The curtain is open. We can all see it. They just haven't looked behind them yet to realize that we see the Democrat Party standing behind them while they mouth the words. All right, but before we go, I love them. They're providing the comedy. When you think about this in the right way, what is happening is the boil of the corrupt Obama administration is being lanced, and it's all coming out. So it has this feeling of like, yuck, there's all this stuff coming out, but it's actually a good thing. It's a positive thing for the Republic. My favorite of all these commentators trying to play down this memo, trying to pull us off the memo, were two of my favorites. One of them is this clown, Phil Mudd, who's a former CIA guy, is now a CNN operative. And his argument why we should not do this, we shouldn't expose the deep state, because the deep state will kill us. So he comes on, this is Phil Mudd threatening the elected president of the United States with the deep state and saying, and we shouldn't reveal this information because they're going to come after the president.
So the FBI people, I'm going to tell you, are ticked. And they're going to be saying, I guarantee it, you think you can push us off this because you can try to intimidate the director? You better think again, Mr. President. You've been around for 13 months. We've been around since 1908. I know how this game is going to be played. We're going to win.
So maybe if you don't want us to feel there's a conspiracy, you shouldn't threaten elected officials with unelected deep state secret guys. Maybe that would make us all feel better. And Adam Schiff, the reliable McCarthyite Adam Schiff, boy, he is like a clock. He just goes off. He just keeps the time perfectly. You just know he's going to go off with this stuff. And Democrats are so invested in this panic mongering. I know that the people who believe them, the people who are in their camp, their base, I guess they're nodding and saying yes, yes, yes. But the rest of us, the people who can think, I'm not just talking about the base, the Trump base, I'm talking about the people in the middle on whom elections depend. I have to believe that they are listening to this and going, rolling their eyes, give me a break. Here is Adam Schiff telling us, if we publish information that lets us know about our government, the terrorists win.
And sources of information are going to dry up. If you have a neighbor next door who's buying a lot of fertilizer and it seems odd to you because they don't have a yard, are you going to think twice before calling the FBI? Because if they get a search warrant for your neighbor and something is politicized, the political winds change, and there's an investigation, your identity is going to be revealed. Because you really can't trust that this is going to be kept confidential anymore. There's a reason why this process has never been used before. But even so, the process presumed that the President of the United States, who has a veto over this, would be a responsible person who would have the interests of the nation at heart.
Why would anybody need to buy fertilizer when we have Adam Schiff? You got Adam Schiff talking. You got plenty of fertilizer. So that's Schiff telling us, if we find out what the deep state is doing, if we find out that there was malfeasance at the top of the Obama administration's Justice Department, which there was, we already know there was. We know he corrupted the IRS. We know he corrupted state by making Hillary lie about Benghazi. We know he corrupted the Justice Department by getting Hillary off the hook, and he lied to us about whether he knew about her email. We know this stuff. I mean, this is not me, this is not like me just going off on Democrats. We know that this guy, I believe that Barack Obama slowly began to understand that the press would not touch him no matter what he did. If he had strangled Michelle in the Rose Garden, the press would have said, a new trend, killing your wife. Isn't that what, really, the press was so in the tank for him. And as he realized that, he just continually corrupted the government, turned it into the Chicago-style machine. And as I always say, he didn't corrupt it for himself. He corrupted it for his ideology. He was not money corrupt. He was ideologically corrupt, and so is the press. The press is exactly the same. Campus reform, I love these guys. They go out and they do these funny interviews to show us how skewed campus people's minds are at colleges. They went out and did this video where they told people lines from Obama's State of the Union and then told them it was Trump's State of the Union. And this is not off the topic. I play this to make a point, but let's just listen for a minute.
First, talking about ISIS, saying, quote, we need to call them what they are, killers and fanatics who have to be hunted down and destroyed. What's your thought on that?
Well, first off, ISIS is fake. It's something the government made up so they can continue doing what they want to do, which is world domination.
Donald Trump should, mind his own business and, just focus on America because he's the president of the United States, not of the whole world.
I feel like that's a very strong statement. And when you say something like that, it kind of makes you, a target.
Or if you're a threat to this country, we're going to get you for that. It's just ridiculous.
Next up, talking about the general world stage, saying, quote, when you come after Americans, we come after you. It may take time, but we have long memories and our reach has no limit. What's your thought on that?
Well, I don't think that's a good way of handling something.
It's like he doesn't think before speaking and how it's going to offend a lot of people.
He should be careful because there's other countries out in the world that has automatic weapons and, nuclear bombs.
So when they think it's Trump speaking, they hate it, but it's actually Obama speaking. So with college kids, we can forgive this because, they're worried about important things like taking drugs and having sex. But this is the press. This is the press. This is what they've been reduced to, and they were reduced to it when they were in college. It's a chain of cause and effect that these colleges have been taken over by leftists. They teach them leftism. They then go out into the world and become reporters. And every time they hear something that comes out of Trump's mouth, it's bad. Every time they hear something that comes out of Obama's mouth, it's good. Plus, with the press, and especially with the generation, I hope it'll be different. It's very hard to imagine it will be, but I hope it'll be different with the generation coming up. But there is a racial pathology with these people. The Democrats, I think I've quoted this before. Andrew Breitbart used to say that the Democrat Party was like a Malamar. It was a thin brown crust protecting this massive white center. And the way they keep that brown crust, meaning African Americans, the way they keep the black people so protective is by manipulating our legitimate guilt over our historical, sins against black people, and those are real, and they manipulate our legitimate guilt to make us feel that anytime we criticize black people or a black person, we're doing something racist or wrong. So Trump goes out and he says you should stand up for the flag, and they say, well, those players are black, and they're complaining about some black, so that's racist. That's nonsense. If you're not racist, you judge people strictly on the content of their character and on their actions. And if the actions are wrong, they're wrong, and if they're right, they're right. And certainly the press should just be eager for the truth. Being a reporter is what I call a meta profession. Being an artist is a meta profession. Sure, you have politics. Sure, you have opinions, but you leave them behind. Your purpose is to get the truth and to have an entire industry whose purpose, they've been telling us what heroes they are, how they're speaking truth to power. To have an entire industry essentially protecting power from the truth is a shame. It really is. It's a scandal.